Hey YouTube, we're going to see how this new phone works. This little wife got me a new phone. It's a LG Optimus G Pro. It's got like a, I don't know, ungodly megapixel camera on it. So I already dropped it and broke the screen. Had it 3 days and it cost me $200 to get it replaced on the insurance. But I thought I'd make a video in here real quick. There's a green S10 now. The old 350 that was supposed to be rebuilt, it turned out to be a engine where somebody put pistons in backwards, didn't know how to file fit his rings. He had the gaps angled outward like to a point, and they scarred up the cylinder walls. And he didn't redo the heads, he just cleaned them up, repainted them, and it was sucking oil past all the guides. Don't get me wrong, it run good. Smoked like hell, but run good. So what I've done is I bought a 72 Chevy 4-wheel drive that had a 402 big block in it. The motor's a 71, it was original, an LS3, 402, 310 horse, I believe. Don't quote me on it, I wrote it all down, but it's up now at Built Right Engines in Parkerville, Missouri. Getting completely gone through. Everything was standard. So, and he looked at everything, and everything he said should go 30 over. The crank we might have to turn 10-10, which is not that big a deal. But I'm not worried about it because I'm not using the crank. I'm just going to use the block and the heads. I'm going with the Cali's crank for it, some Eagle rods, the Keith Black Forge pistons. We're going to up the compression ratio on it. Comp XE268 cam is what I'm going to run in it. Give it a little bit of a heartbeat and wake it up. My 700R4 that's in there, it's beefed up, but I don't think it's going to last long behind this big block. I think the torque's just going to tear it up. If it does, I've got a Turbo 400 sitting here with a 208 transfer case. It should swap right in. It's the same length, basically, to the cross member. I did delete the heater box this time. I've got an under dash unit that's going to go in the truck, so deleting that wasn't that big an issue. I will retain my power brakes. I did got a plate made right here, this aluminum diamond plate. Ooh, that camera's like lagging to what I'm actually doing in my hand. Ooh. Anyway, I've got that done. All I got to do is get it bolted in, then bolt the steering column panel through it to reinforce it. I moved the steering column over 2 inches so it'll clear the back part of the header coming up to here. So instead of this being like that, you can see how much, literally I moved it. It's almost 2.5 inches is what it comes out to be. And then I'm gonna I got a piece of sheet metal. I'm gonna tack weld back in behind there to fill that in, and then I'm gonna bolt that aluminum right there through it. If it don't turn out to look right, I've got some 1/4 inch 6-inch squares I sheared off out of a piece of plate I had, and I took them over, and I do have a 90-ton shear and sheared them off. So I've got those I brought over from the other place. When I go to set the engine in, it will leave here and go over. So I've got a concrete floor to work on. Just right now I've got it stuffed in here. So we pulled the engine out of both trucks sitting on trailers right out here in the driveway. There's the old headers that was on the 402 originally. There's a radiator, it was brand new in the truck, 4-core. And it's not much bigger than the 4.3 radiator I throw on my small block. So I'm going to modify this core support. I've got like a dozen of these laying around for the old Gen 1 S10s, and my son cleaned it up and painted it. I'm going to modify this one and use it to put that radiator in and leave that radiator that's in that one for my son's small block truck that we're going to build. So it's all good to go. Fan, MSD distributor. There's a spare rust-free hood I got, which S10 parts I've got coming out my ears. I picked up another rust-free cab with a title I got sitting out here next to this place that I brought in. New compressor, so I got reliable air out here. My son, he was sitting in here watching TV. He run the cable through the wall out here. There's a TV there and there's a TV right here. But instead of moving stuff back and forth, I did bring an engine stand over here from the house. I bought a Clark 190E and welder to use over here, and then I've got another little 125 Hobart sitting there. It's a 125, 130, and then I've got a plasma cutter sitting over there on the end. That I actually, it's a Colossal Tech Cut 50. I've cut 1-inch thick plate with it. It does real well. I mean, I only give the guy $150 for it on Craigslist, and I've used the shit out of it. If I just get my son to quit breaking the little insulators or ceramics on the ends of it. We went and bought another engine hoist just to have over here because I got tired of packing stuff back and forth. There's some paint where we're going to do a little bit of black and gunmetal in this, and then I'm going to clear the whole truck. There's a gallon of clear coat sitting up there for it. And the activator's back there behind it. And I got a gallon of cleanup thinner, so that stuff there ain't bad. It's what I always use. It's Nason. It's not the greatest, but if you're painting something flat, I've never had any orange peel. I have had it on the side. That's what I cleared that dually I painted with. You want to be in a YouTube video? You're in it now.
I just brought me a bicycle with you. Don't scare anybody.
I'm not. You guys going back in?
Yeah.
Thank you, dear. Yeah, and that's a nightmare to take apart. It is a pain in the ass because I've got, of course, the bumper. Then you've got to pull the core, spread the fenders apart, pull the core support out, and then I've got a big winch plate that bolts down here. And then I use the stainless, so I got this piece, and then there's another piece that goes in right here. That way it makes it, with the way the truck's set up, it makes it draw the air through the radiator rather than trying to pull it under it and up underneath here. It's got to draw it through the radiator. So now I want to clear something up. All these guys are doing big block swaps in these S10s, and they're saying they've got to cut the firewall and they've got to do this, do that. It's all bull. 2.8 V6 mount using 9906 Transdat mounts, which are hanging right up there on the wall. There's the old valve covers off the 402. I am not using them over. I've got some real nice flame ones that are tapered at the back to clear the brake booster on that side and the heater box on this side. But you run these mounts. You run a 4-quart oil pan off a Chevelle or an Impala for a $396. It will clear this cross member. You do not have to go cutting all of this out. Okay, this is a 2-wheel drive frame to start with, but you do not have to cut none of this crap out. It'll set the motor low enough. As you can see, where my bell housing, it's going to go up about 3 inches when I put the motor, so they'll be setting up here. You can get to all the bell housing bolts. I could have put the AC box on this truck and run it with the big block. Now, we've run them in these trucks before, and the headers that I use, a lot of people say 67 Camaro headers. They'll work, but you've got to dimple some of the tubes and manipulate them a little bit, and the oil filter is a bitch to get off. You want to run a set of headers for our 88 to 98 full size. The shorty headers work best, like the JBAs or the Pace Setter headers work the better. I mean, if you're going to spend the money, you might as well. Most people like me, all I buy, there's my small block ceramic coated ones from Hedman, $600 set of headers. I'm going to buy one set one time. That's it. I've got a set of pace setters for this that are stainless that I paid less money for than them ceramic coated ones. $529 through Summit. And where they'll dump, especially now with this truck with the body lift, they're going to come down through here, and one's going to dump right here, and the other one's going to dump right here. You don't have to screw with the frame, you don't have to do anything. And another myth too, people say the frames on the 95 and up trucks are narrower. It's the same frame, people. The only thing Chevrolet did different is the cross member for the transmission's a little different. The front bumper mounts are different, and if you got an 82, they actually unbolt on a Gen 1. The rest of them you got to grind the spot welds out. And they put a little bit heavier 28 spline axles instead of 28 6 spline in the 7.5 10 bolt. And if you got a 2.2 liter truck, you got a 410 to make up for the lack of horsepower in a 4-cylinder. The frames are the same. We have put a 83 body on a 2000 frame and vice versa. The frames are the same. The only thing different, oh, and the steering sector is a little different. That's it. And this one's going bye-bye. I'm going to get one of a Jeep Cherokee with the U-joint here and the U-joint up there and get rid of the rag bushings. It's cheaper than buying Flaming River stuff. But, yeah, other than that, I got rid of a bunch of wiring I didn't need this time. I'm going to redo all this headlight wires because when I hooked it up, I kind of did it quickly because I wanted to drive the truck. But now at this point, I got to play with it a little this summer before I tore it back apart. I've got all the bugs worked out of it, no vibrations. It goes down the road perfect. Tow set, everything. It turns the S10 box. That's something else, guys. Anybody's doing a solid axle swap, don't go buy those Jeep drop pitman arms or the ones for late 70s Ford. Get a drop pitman arm for an 88 to 02 Chevy for the Saginaw box. It'll bolt right on the S10. You can see how much room. It's almost back hitting the frame right here. It's already bored for the 1-ton tie rod end, which I'm using 1.25 DOM tubing for all of my stuff, 1/4-inch wall, and I'm using all 1-ton tie rod ends from Chevrolet tie rod ends. But yeah, use that arm. It's thick, it's heavy, it works, and it's 6.5 inches from center to center where the Cherokee's only 5.5. It'll give you the last little bit of turn you need to turn that Dana's 44, excuse me, or a 10-bolt Chevy lock to lock in the front, or any other axle. If you're running a Dana 30 or an AMC, Toyota, whatever, it'll work. But I'm at 13 minutes and 20 seconds, and you guys are probably tired of listening to me ramble. But you can see, yep, that's it. It's just sitting there collecting dust now. Knocked the engine stand over into the door on the other side, so I got to fix that. Oh yeah, I didn't know if I showed anybody, but there's a sway bar, and before you guys say anything, I took the truck out and twisted it. That gap actually gets bigger when you move the suspension up and down, cycle the suspension. That gap gains height when you push this side up, and that's all the lower it'll drop. It will not hit that sway bar. And that's just a 2-wheel drive S10 Hellwig sway bar. And I got one for the back too as well. I just ain't put it on yet. But that's it, guys. When the motor comes back in the machine shop, I'll get some pics of us assembling the big block. I'll get pics of it sitting in here, the headers, tolerances, what parts and stuff I've used. I've been down this road before, so it ain't nothing new. Everybody keep working on your stuff, put your videos up, and have fun. Bye.